Hi, I'm Mac McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups, relationships, situationships, and everything else. Go to writemac.com if you want to book a session. Let's get into it today. Why is no contact so hard to do? Why is it so hard? It's a good question. Why? Short answer, it's not hard for everyone. There's some people out there, no matter how bad the relationship, no contact suits them down to the boots. It's because personality, character-wise, or how they operate, that's what they do. They cut off friends, family, and colleagues when things go wrong. You know people like this that just shut someone out, and they're proud of it too. They'll be like, I'll never talk to you again. Those people, no contact, it's like, I can do that. Or people that think that it's really, really over and there's no coming back. There's no, oh, if I did this, that, or the other, then no contact easier. But why is it so hard for some people? I'll tell you why. Sam, how you doing? If I had a prize for a first on deck, you would get it. It's not in your nature to cut people out. So this is one of those things, whether it's nature, personality, character, whatever. There's some people out there that just, they don't operate like that. If you're close to them, they have a problem with you, they might be upset, they might be triggered, they might be anger, they might be resentment, but they're communicators. They like to talk. They like to continue to have a relationship with you. They don't cut people off. It's not what they do. And so it's completely out of character to do no contact. We're never going to talk again, which is a very dramatic narrative that some people sometimes adapt is, oh, we'll never talk again. But it's just outside of who you are. Not just this relationship, not just this breakup. You don't no contact anyone, right? Think about the people that you've gone to school with or you work with and they start ignoring people. Those are the people that are like, okay, no contact works for me. So if it's outside your nature, that's one of the reasons it's going to be hard. Number two, your reasons aren't strong enough. This is a great point, even though it's my point. Your reasons just aren't strong enough. The reasons why we do things, let's say you take a job. Let's say you take a job as a sanitation worker or garbage man, as I used to call it in the 80s, right? Some people are like, wow, you want to do that with your career? That's what you want to do for the rest of your life? I've known people that they were involved in that and they're like, great job. You know, when you get off, great benefits. You work for the city usually, right? Which gives you a lot of stability. You're not going to get laid off. The garbage always needs to go out. Someone can build a case and have good reasons to be a garbage man or sanitation worker, right? They can have reasons. And someone else can go, wow, you pick up people's garbage every day? And those people aren't seeing the reasons, okay? And so some people, no contact, are like, oh, they did this and this and this to me, so I can never talk to them again. Your reasons have to be strong enough. And so what will happen sometimes is post-breakup, is sometimes people get a little creepy, men and women, where they just start calling you off the hook. They don't take no for an answer. They start to try to send gifts and they think they're making progress, but they're actually pushing you away further. Sometimes that's a reason to go no contact, but you might want to map out your reasons, like 1 through 5, 1 through 10, or 1 through 3, and then circle the 3 biggest ones and come back to that. Like, why am I doing this? If your number one reason is to get them back, it's probably not the best reason. Your number one reason should be, I got to get myself back together here, right? I got to prove to myself that I can be without this person and I have other resources in my life for happiness. Number 3, you've never done it before. You've never done no contact. You've never broken up and decided you weren't going to talk to that person again. It's new to you. It's something that after 2 days, 3 days, you're like, well, how long does this go? Number 4, you still love them. That's a big one. Right? Not everyone loves who they're going into no contact with. You still have feelings for them. And so the idea of never talking to them again, I use that word never, when no contact never says never talk to them again. It's just for now, for this time period. And a lot of times, sometimes people that need a finish line, I'll say go 30 days and then reassess. It's not 30 days and then I'll call them or write a letter. It's 30 days and then I'll reassess. You still love them? Okay. But things aren't working. The problems aren't being solved. So what's the alternative? So if you still love them, what's the alternative to not being in no contact? Write that out. Number 4, That was number 4. Number 5, while in no contact, you think they don't care about you anymore. This is a big one. Oh, it's so hard because they don't care about me anymore. Well, you guys haven't been talking. You haven't called them. And well, they haven't called me. So they obviously never cared about the relationship. That's an assumption. That's a narrative you can play through your mind, but they might be fighting it just like you are. Number 6, you are doing it to get them back and the clock is ticking. Oh, it's been 15 days, 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 30 seconds. If you're doing no contact that way, good luck. Because that's going to be really difficult. You got a clock on it. So where's the clock supposed to meet? It's like when you play a ball game and you got a clock for a quarter or the game to be over. That makes sense. If you have a clock running on no contact, there is no end to it. You don't know. So you're actually just playing a game of time against yourself, and it's adding pressure. Like I just said, if you want to throw 30 days on it, well, then 30 days are like, I'm going to do this, see how I feel in 30 days, and then decide what my next move is, to stay in no contact, to call them, to, right? If you need one of those finish lines, create it, but don't create the finish line with an expectation of what they're going to do, right? Number 7, you believe it's immature to block them. This is probably one of the ones that really bugs me the most. I hear it a lot. People will go, oh yeah, if I block them, if you're going no contact, you gotta, in a lot of cases, if they're the one chasing you, and by the way, people that break up and they're the one to dump the other person for whatever reason, financials, cheating, we just don't get along, we don't connect anymore, whatever it is. If you think that person should never put you in that person putting you in no contact once you start chasing them, what they're saying to you is like, look, I don't want to get back together. I don't want to lead you on. That takes a lot of courage, guts, and honesty. Like when someone breaks up with you and then cuts off contact or blocks you on everything. Someone's like, oh, and they blocked me. Well, you're not together anymore. They don't want to lead you on. There's a lot of value in that. When you go into no contact, it usually involves blocking each other on something, because if you leave that open, contact starts again. And if you're confused by that, then book a live coaching session with myself or someone else, and we'll go through it. And we'll comb through your layers of your issues and see if that's the right choice for you, because no contact's not for everyone. Number 8, cyber stalking triggers you. So this is probably one of the biggest ones that you can stay out of. It's the biggest minefield in the relationship industry, if you will, or breakup industry, if you will. And basically what's happening is that every time you go on Instagram, Facebook, whoever uses that still, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, a lot of my clients use that. It's just an automatic trigger of seeing the other person, not knowing what they're thinking, assuming you know what they're thinking, and then having to stay in no contact. It puts a lot more stress on you not talking to them. And that's completely in your power, right? So today I did have a couple stories that came in. We are live right now. So if anyone that's on the live stream wants to put in their story, their question about their breakup or relationship, throw it in the live stream. We can do that. If you have any comments on why no contact has been hard to do for you, but it's right to do, I think one of the things to come back to, what are your reasons? Because a lot of times people, they won't tell me their reasons for no contact, but they'll tell me their reasons why they're broken up, right? They'll tell me their reasons they don't like the person. So those reasons have to contribute to your no contact. And if the reasons aren't strong enough, well, then that's where you have a problem. What's up, Rob? How you doing? You're just in time for story time. And so I would really start with that, probably, is that write out your reasons for doing it. And what I come back to is, what's the alternative at some point? There's a point in your breakup or your relationship where you're like, what's the alternative here? To keep calling each other, to keep yelling at each other, to keep chasing pavements, as Adele said in one song. If you know that one. you know, you're just coming across the same thing like a dog chasing its tail, and you're not resolving it. So what's the alternative of no contact? To keep negotiating over something that's never going to be agreed upon. Reconciliation, right? All right, we'll get into the story right now, which relates to the topic today. And then there was a second situationship that came in also to the website. Like I said, go to writemac.com if you want to send in your story, if you want to book a live coaching session. All coaching sessions are refundable if you don't find them useful or helpful. Commercial over. All right, hey, coach, broke up with my boyfriend 1 week ago. BF would be best friend or boyfriend. I caught him texting coworker inappropriate messages. He complimented her looks in a bikini on IG, and he continued the conversation in her DMs, which I read. It was blatant flirting. I don't consider it cheating, but it's disrespectful, and it's not the first time he's done it. All right, so right there, you got a history of it. It's something you don't accept. It's something you view as flirting. Now, some couples, some women will be like, I don't mind if he flirts, just don't cheat. Okay, that's a line that you say is not okay. The fact that he's done it before and he's gotten away with it, he probably thinks that it's okay, right? I forgave him before, but this time was worse. He laughed when I brought it up, and I could tell he thought he'd get out of this one too. So that probably added to the friction of the situation when he's laughing at it or smiling about it, and you're thinking, oh yeah, you're not going to get in trouble for this. I already had my stuff from his place packed, which wasn't a lot because we don't live with each other full time. Well, you haven't told me how long you've been together to start with, so I don't know if this is 2 years, 3 years, or 6 months, but I will tell you this. If you don't live together full time, it is easier to pivot out of a relationship like that. So even though you had stuff at his house, you have a place to go. Relationships that have you living together, it's just not that simple. Even if you have all your stuff packed, you still need to find another place. So if you're really staunch and dug in on not having a boyfriend that DMs girls in their bikinis, right? And he's done this multiple times. And the fact that he laughed about it means he doesn't think it's that serious. Okay? That he doesn't think it's a big deal. That's for you to decide on your end. You guys are in a partnership, right? And so there's other women out there that wouldn't think it was a big deal, but you do. So stick to it. Go back to your place. Go into no contact. But if you don't do that, then you're just reinforcing to him, if he did this again, that you don't have the guts or gusto to go through with breaking up. And it weakens your stance, right? Now, being away from each other, maybe you'll be like, well, it's not as big a deal as I thought, because you've already said it's not cheating. There's some people out there that consider it emotional cheating. You're saying no. Now, of course, he's been texting me, sorry. All right, so I already had my stuff from his place packed, which wasn't a lot, because now, of course, he's been texting me sorry, said he was wrong. And just yesterday, he announced publicly on IG that he was sorry to me and that he would be closing his account because it resulted in a breakup for him. So he publicly announced on IG, which, you know, publicly announcing something on IG would count on how many followers, I guess, you have. But that's a bit dramatic. But it's definitely falling on the sword and, you know, going an extra level on sorry. How much that resonates with you, I don't know. Obviously, if you're writing this, you don't think it's enough. He was sorry to me that he would be closing the account because it resulted in a breakup for him. I'm not sure what to make of it, but I know at this point I don't want him back. In my week away from him, I've already felt lighter and less on edge. Well, that says a lot. If you break up and you feel lighter and less on edge, that means that there was something in your relationship that wasn't right. You should be feeling, you know, you're going to have friction moments, not times when you guys don't get along. But the idea that you're on edge, maybe you were sensing that he was, you know, talking to other women already before this happened. I think I always thought he was on the verge of cheating because he has that personality of a flirt and a charming guy. He claims it's just his personality. I can't marry or be with him that long term. Okay, so that's a definitive statement. Come back to that. I want to go no contact for good, but he keeps texting me and has even emailed me a letter that he put a lot of time into, but actually turned me off. A lot of times letters, just because they're gooey and soppy and have a little extra sauce to them, if people don't find them within your character, as in they're genuinely who you are, not just trying to get back, they'll find them as a turnoff. Also, some individuals, don't find a letter or even reading something to be very romantic anymore. So that's a possibility there. As he still didn't take accountability, I just don't trust him. Well, that's kind of a throwaway statement where you're like, he wrote a long letter saying sorry, but he didn't really take accountability. Okay, so what would he have to do to be more accountable? It sounds like it's kind of like someone saying, I would have bought that car if the salesman would have sold it better. But you got to ask yourself, do you still not like the car? You with me? So if you're saying, well, if you would have apologized better, but at the same time, you're saying like it's non-negotiable that multiple times you've been DMing other women. Okay. So maybe there isn't something accountability wise. If he's going live on Instagram with a live apology, I mean, that's being pretty accountable for being wrong. Why is it hard for me to just cut him off? Well, that's a different answer for different people. We have to talk about that in a coaching session. My guess is you probably whenever someone breaks up with anyone, and anyone in the comments on the live stream right now, tell me if you agree or disagree. If you've been in the situation where you've broken up with someone and they chase you, is there a sweet spot where you kind of like being chased post breakup, even though you don't want to be with them anymore? It's not everyone, but I would say there's a lot of women out there that would say, oh, no, I don't like that. Doesn't everyone like a little bit of validation, a little bit of chase? I mean, if you break up with someone and then they just are like, yeah, okay. The other person's like, that's it? You don't care? So I think being chased or wanted feels good. And this is why so many people that I talk to will be like, oh, I can't block them. You like the interaction. Also, it's comfortable. You're used to it. My last relationship, the guy just had to move away and he really didn't try to get me back. Am I somehow liking the attention? I know I can do better. Thank you for reading this on your show. Well, if you know you can do better, prove it. That's a great statement. I believe you. And that's what it really comes down to in a relationship like this, where you're making a stand on something. You're saying this is unacceptable. And maybe in a month, maybe in 2 months, you accept his apology, which he's gone above and beyond. And then it'll get real to you. It'll get real quick when he decides to stop chasing you. That's when you'll know, like, oh, wait a minute. Because now, right now, even though you broke up with him, you have the option. You're like, oh, I can get him back at any time and we can revisit things. Right now, you feel vindicated. What stands out to me is when you're like, oh, I'm lighter and less on edge. Okay. The fact that he's done it more than once and kind of laughed at it. Those are the things. That being said, in a month or two, you guys can get back together. It doesn't sound like there's just a lot of wreckage on the road. There's no other things. That's fine. The fact that you think or know you can do better, that's hypergamy, and women that can do better will do better. And maybe you're looking for a way out if you think you can do better. Because not everyone says that post breakup, I can do better, or I know I can do better. Right? So those are things to look at. And I just went over all the reasons that no contact is hard, but ways you can get around that. All right, next part. Our next situationship. Coach, I'm 86 and my girlfriend is 95. No, I'm joking. I thought so. I'm 33 and she's 34. We've been together for 2 years. It's been mostly good. I moved away for a trade school 6 months ago, and I'll be back to our apartment that we share in 3 months. So this is your classic situationship, right? And this is a great time to rate me at writemac.com, because before you break up, he's at a crossroads right now, right? We've been doing semi-long distance as I'm able to drive to see her most weekends, but sometimes I'm frustrated by her effort to see me. I like that semi-long distance. You see each other every weekend. That's better than some couples that live 20 minutes apart. What I would say is if you're seeing each other each weekend, it should be good. It should be special. It should be fun. You shouldn't be at each other's throats or arguing. The fact that she doesn't make much of an effort, there could be some reasons. She doesn't like to drive. I'm one of those people. I don't like long drives if I don't have to do them. There's a lot of traffic from her end. There could be all kinds of reasons for that. She's got a job. She's working 10 hours a day and she doesn't want to spend her weekend driving. Okay. And you look at it like she doesn't make the effort. She'll never drive to where I'm at to see me or even halfway. I've had other clients like this, and you might think, well, that person's selfish, and sometimes they are. They rule the roost, they rule the relationship, and they don't want to drive. There's some people that don't like long drives. They don't like traffic, or they're scared to drive far, or wherever you live, they're scared of that neighborhood. I don't know. So I'd have to ask you a little bit more details. Seek to understand, not to be understood, by asking more questions. That being said, if you're taking it personal, there is a finish line on this. If you said, like, this wasn't an issue when we lived together, in 3 months you'll be living in the same apartment, you won't have to worry about the drive anymore. See where I'm saying? So, like, this isn't grounds to break up, because the problem should be solved in 3 months when you live together. I've also noticed that last month that she never calls me and responds late to text, super late. All right, so then my question would be, did she get a new job? Is she hanging around new friends? Like, what's the change beyond just not calling you? Have you asked her why she's being more late? And, you know, sometimes when I have clients, they'll be like, oh, yeah, she did change a shift at work. It's like, okay, that can affect things. Her job doesn't allow her to text. That can change things. Are you someone that values regular texting more than her? That's a lot in relationships. There's some people out there that cannot be left on red for 10 minutes or they go berserk. Now, if she just started this month, but in the past has been on texting and nothing else has changed, yeah, it might be a little suspicious, but it's not time to panic. It's driving me nuts. And just yesterday, a friend reported that he swore he saw her at a park with another dude, but he couldn't clarify because she was far away. All right, so first of all, does this friend like her or doesn't like her? Is this friend a gossiper by nature, or was this friend, you know, really looking out for you? The fact that he couldn't clarify it doesn't hold a lot of weight. You see someone far away in a park that you think looks like your girlfriend, but you can't say 100%. Was it 80% true? So in that particular case, I would say that I wouldn't assume. Ask some questions. Now, when I asked her, she got super defensive and asked, who told me? But was staying clear of answering the question directly. Does this mean she's guilty? Not necessarily, but highly likely in my lie detector book. Now, I wouldn't just sit there and go, oh, I know you're lying. Because there's some people that just don't like being accused of something they didn't do. And this is a little shoddy. Okay, if your good friend says, no, I saw her. I saw her at the movie. I saw her at the park. Your friend that says, I think I saw your girlfriend at the park, but she was too far away to clarify. That's not enough. That's not enough for you to full on go FBI mode, interrogation mode. Okay. The idea that she's upset about it. If she wasn't there are people that if you accuse them of something they didn't do can get defensive because it's uncomfortable to them and you're accusing them of something they didn't do. So, but if she's just not answering the question directly at all, for example, no, it should start like, no, who told you that? But the first initial answer should be no, without hesitation. I wasn't at the park. Who told you that? If they can do that without hesitation, I would say that they might be appalled by the accusation, but they should be answering no within that first 5 minutes. No, I didn't do that. No, I wasn't there. Does this mean she's guilty? Like I said, not necessarily. I plan to see her this week. Should I ask to go through her phone? Or should I covertly do it like all my friends do? Great question. And I'm going to tell people in the live stream right now, I don't know what the percentage is, and it would be an interesting study since studies carry so much weight for people, is how many couples have access to their partner's phone and are covertly looking through their messages. Because on my end, many times, guys and gals, women and men will tell me, oh, I've known their code for a long time. I look through the phone all the time. And in the era of text messaging, it's a minefield. Because you can find old text from 2-3 years ago that you weren't together, but it's still going to hurt you that there was a sex text, sexting, or something like that. So if you're getting to the point when you start have to go through someone's phone, I would absolutely 1,000% prefer you to ask questions. And in this particular case, I wouldn't just ask to go through the phone, because that's just a no. Majority of people, yeah, there are people out there, go ahead, go through my phone, I don't care. But you've already accused her of something you're not sure of. Now ask some more questions, right? Because the phone's not going to crack the case. But I wouldn't go through the once you go through the phone covertly on your own, you're opening up a big can of worms, and you're just telling yourself that you don't trust them. I prefer to ask questions. And when you ask questions in person, not text, I believe that you can have a little bit more intuition on the way the questions are being answered. I got this sick feeling that it's the beginning of the end. What's your thinking on this? Am I overreacting? I think this is a great time to ask, because it's not grounds to break up here. So you got a few things going on. You got number one, you got you're both living apart from each other where you used to live near each other. I don't know how long you lived together. Been together for 2 years. It's mostly good. Mostly good. I'd like to know what the bad parts were. You see each other every weekend. She doesn't like to drive to see you. That could just be laziness. That could just be not liking to drive. Okay. You're gonna move back to where she's at in 3 months, and you guys share a place. Okay, so there's a finish line there. So the driving won't be an issue in the future. Your friend thinks he saw her at a park with another dude. That's pretty shoddy evidence. You ask her, and you got to give her the benefit of the doubt based on the way she reacted. Now, she was highly defensive, but my question was, before she got defensive, did she say no? Or did she just get defensive? Did she at any point answer and say, no, I was never at that park? Asking who it was, there's a lot of people like, who told you this? A lot of people would say that. Is there still a question in your mind? And are there people that are good liars out there? Yes, there are. You'd be better off hiring a private eye, and I never recommend this to people, than going through her phone or assuming that she's telling you a lie. And this is where, like I talked about, the compatibility and the person's personality and character. There are some people you know, and you've known her for 2 years, right? That you're like, they're just not a liar. Or they're extremely loyal person. There's some people like, nah, that wouldn't be them. The fact that you're entertaining this says to me that you don't think she's one of those people. Jumping to the conclusion that it's the beginning of the end, I think you're going too fast, too quick. The idea that you're away from her, you're being loyal, will make you more sensitive to this. And so instead of going through her phone or asking to go through her phone, have a sit-down conversation and explain, hey, are we all right? You haven't been texting me as much. I want to know what's going on. And if she has a good reason for that, then give her the benefit of the doubt. She's already answered the question. about the guy in the park, right? So I don't think you're overreacting. I think that you could become overreactive to the situation, but you got to sort out the facts here. And you always have a choice when it comes to trust, to give someone the benefit of the doubt. When you're in a relationship, we're human beings. There's people that lie. There's white lies, there's small lies, there's all kinds of stuff. But when you trust someone, you just give them the benefit of the doubt, right? And I would add, this would be another way. Does this person lie to other people? Does this person lie to other people without a whim, right? How do they treat other people? So you remove yourself out of the equation and then do a character check on this person. All right, I only got a little bit of time today, so another maybe 10 minutes. No, it's not a new shirt, but it is a crisp one. I do like wearing white. I did wear white yesterday also. Mary, it is great to see you. I have emailed you a couple times, just checking in as I do with my favorite clients. And your email bounced back one time, so I was a little worried about you. I'm glad that you're okay. And I just assume maybe you're in a new relationship, hot and heavy, rose petals and wine glasses, bubble baths. Am I wrong? Chocolates? Manicured nails? I'm strongly against phone checking of a partner. Omitting isn't lying. It's not telling the truth. American gangster, what a quote. Yeah, my iPhone got hacked. All right, well, next time your iPhone gets hacked, check in with the people that care, okay? Just let me know you're all right. All right, so phone checking is a big deal, and it's done a lot of times without you knowing. And I've had clients that are good character individuals that do it regularly. So I think it's just too easy for a lot of people. And then there's the people out there that are good at finding out your password or those kinds of things. The problem with phone checking is, Rye Flint might have a conversation in there if she's not one to delete everything that's been in her phone for 2 or 3 years. And then there's the people out there that can hack into your phone, and even the stuff that you've deleted that can check. So it opens up a massive river of uncomfortableness. And it just doesn't stop. So you're better off just being open when you're texting or you're on your phone and your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, or wife's like, who are you texting? And you're like, why are you asking? It's like, no, I think someone can ask who you're texting if you're on the phone a lot. I don't think that's over the line. Going through my phone and then combing out everything that you think you can accuse me of, that's a different ball game. The problem is usually now, this day and age in the 21st century, with pictures and text, they're going to find something that tells them that you were interested in someone else. Now, the timestamp of those things could set you free. But the problem with that is if it's a sexy picture or a sweet text, the person imprints that in their mind more than the idea that, oh, this was 2 years ago. And then you got to explain yourself. So I'm with Rye Flint. I don't think the phone, if you get to a point where you're checking your partner's phone, it can be the beginning of the end in regards to trust, which is the backbone of your relationship. Now, if someone's completely upfront about it, even with the stuff that's suspicious in their phone, they got an answer and a reason for everything, or they just go, you know what? You're right. You got me. The girl on the Instagram post, I did DM her. Me and her are cool at work, and I was joking around with her. I was really saying nice cheeks about her face. But this is just the times we live in now. It's just extremely common. This is what I believe personally. When you're in a relationship and you're actually together, there's that first year, and people don't get this really. You're still learning each other. So you're going to be surprised in that first year about some kind of reactions to things, or You know, I've had guys, oh, we were dating for 3 months and then fell off a cliff, like never talked to me. You don't really know them as well as you'd think you do. By year 2, year 3, you really kind of know that person a lot better, and their mannerisms, the way they, it's just like if you played poker with them. I'm not a poker player. You'd know people's tells. You'd know when they're lying. It's like each girlfriend I've had, I wouldn't consider any of them natural liars, but I'd consider 1 or 2 of them more capable of lying with a straight face than the other 3. Right? And that's when you have to ask direct questions and watch the body language. Watch the body language and the way they're acting about it. I think the hacker that hacked my iPhone is pissed, but just annoying for me because I had to be on the phone with Apple for like almost an hour. Well, an hour's not too bad. What resonates with me? I never knew people really do that. The phone thing's big. I can't tell you how many times I've had guys that have been tapping their girlfriend's phones for a year and they don't even really find anything. I'll tell you about one of the worst cases in a moment. Odd Carlo, how you doing? Are you in Texas yet? I wouldn't ask a partner to check their phone. I would give them a vibe that you're insecure and weakness. Well, I wouldn't. All right. If you have grounds to do it where you're suspicious of something, or sometimes people serendipitously, you know, someone leaves their phone on the kitchen counter, there's a message left, you glare over, it's Juanita. Who's Juanita? Oh, we just work together, right? That comes up, that happens. And I also think the phone, social media, and the way we communicate right now has created a lot of shallow interactions that really aren't going to go anywhere, but can be highly suspicious to your partner, girlfriend, or boyfriend. There's way more emotional cheating. There's way more people that play in text, but they're really not going to go and marry or be with that person. And then you got online porn, right? That's a whole nother subject. But that's also relating to the fact of, is that cheating? I've had people say that their girlfriends broke up with them because it's just non-negotiable that the guy looks at porn, right? And that's a whole nother side thing that wasn't around years ago. I came back to my country since July 26 after my vacation there. Okay, cool, man. Cool. So you're back in Norway. I heard Texas this time of year is very, very hot and humid. My mother's actually there visiting my aunt. My aunt moved near Houston. I have never been to Texas. It's a funny thing about America. You think Americans, right? There's 50 states. I've probably been to 4 or 5 of those states. I don't know. You've never been to Texas? Nope. Alaska? Nope. It's a big place. Big country, man. All right, we got 10 on deck. Does anyone want to ask any questions? I got a few minutes left about their situationship, relationship, or just chime in. Petty Betty, it is your day. It's great to hear from you. I'm glad you're okay. I was very tempted to contact Berkeley Farms in America, which was in California, I believe, which is a company that produces milk. And the reason I was going to contact Berkeley Farms, Petty Betty, was I was going to put you on that milk carton because I was worried about you. I hope you're doing well. It sure is 112 degrees sunny day every day. Did you like that heat? Man, I'll tell you what, good weather is underrated. I've been privileged in most of my life to live in good weather. The Bay Area has great weather. San Diego, which I lived, was probably the best weather I ever lived in. It was 70 to 78 for about 11 months a year. Never rained. Now I live in Phuket, Thailand, where the weather never gets above 90. It's probably 78 to 90 degrees, 92 degrees all year. And it's humid a bit, but not too much. But it never gets to 100. So I've been blessed. I'm a flip-flop guy. I'm like no socks. And then I go somewhere cold and it absolutely touches your soul because you're not used to it. Aaron Rodriguez, are you the one that lives in Mexico City, if I may ask? Eduardo Martinez, he's still around. Yeah, you can get my email. It's just my name at Gmail, but I can put it here. No problem at all. You can also go to the website and I'll hit you up later with my live. You don't want to come. You don't want to drop the link, Mary, and share it online on the show today. I mean, some days I did. The only time I didn't like the heat was when I make 3 or 5 hour walk around the city. Yeah, it's different. It's something to get used to whenever you're in heat. It's like living in the tropics now. I'll have friends visit and they're like, "How do you deal with this? How do you deal with like humidity and the heat?" I would drop the link, Mary, but I do actually have to go. I have a dinner appointment or lunch appointment. I do have to go. Aaron Rodriguez, are you, like I said, are you the one that has a place in Mexico City? Because I have a client I think I've told you about before that he lives in California now, but he really wants to move to Mexico City in the next couple of years. Have a good day yourself, Chaley. My hair would be so frizzy. Maybe that's a good thing. Let your hair out and go for it. It's funny because environments and different places you live definitely affect how you dress. You just can't wear jackets or coats here ever. It's like I had a hooded sweatshirt on a couple weeks ago, and a friend of mine was like, "Oh, that's." Some Thai friend was like, "Oh, that's cool." Like hooded. I was like, "I would never wear a hood. You don't wear sweatshirts here. It's just not cold enough." People wear sweatshirts or jackets here to get out of the sun, not because it's cold. It's kind of ironic. Yes, I'm actually having lunch with B. I'll mention that you asked about him. We're working on doing something more regular on the show in the coming month or two. We'll see how that matriculates. The UFC fight. So just to go over what we talked about earlier, for anyone that's here for the no contact stuff, no contact is so hard to do. Number one, it's not your, it's not, as I'm stuttering, it's not your nature to cut people out. So there's a lot of people like this. Oh, I would never talk to anyone again. Number two, your reasons aren't strong enough. Number three, you've never done it before. Number four, you still love them. 5, while in no contact, you think they don't care about you anymore. That's why it's so hard. You are doing it to get them back, and the clock is ticking. You believe it's immature to block them. Cyber stalking is triggering you. So these are all reasons that make no contact more difficult. Out of all those, I really understand most of them. The only one that really gets me is when people use, well, you're being immature, as in you're shutting someone out. I don't think there's immaturity involved in no contact. I think if you have the right reasons, it's not immature. It's very difficult for someone to cut off a family member, a friend, a lover. It's difficult, but sometimes it's fucking called for because that person is abusing the relationship. That person is making your life tougher. Your interactions are not obligated. to go from talking to someone every day to, well, that would be extremely hard. If a lot of times when someone breaks up, they're not in that relationship. I know what you mean. You're talking every day. I think that when it falls off a cliff, when you live together, it's more difficult. Absolutely. These things are hard. And that's why I said you need to find the right reasons you're doing it, or you need to also say, well, I've been doing the other way where we're talking all the time, but it's getting nowhere. So what's the alternative? Right? It's damn hard. And I just had a coaching session with a client. We just did a really nice hypnosis. And part of the message in the hypnosis was that look at your life, and I'm going to close it out on this. Look at your life and look at turning points. Turning points where your life changed, or you went to a new country or a new state, you had a kid, I don't know, turning points in your life. And those turning points always involved a decision or a choice. And a lot of times, looking back, as dramatic and impactful and as hard as it was, those hardest choices were usually the right ones for you. Did you watch the Niners? I watched the highlights from the Niners, but I'm really excited. The team's good this year. I'm a big Purdy fan, Brock Purdy fan. But I can't really watch them live because the live game would be on at, 2 a.m. And I go to bed between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. I'm on an old man schedule at this point, and I love waking up at 5, 6 a.m. So I usually watch the highlights. I did block a female because of she leading me on and giving me false hope reportedly for months. She was more often interested in partying. Well, there you go. She left me on red multiple times and doesn't seem to be bothered about it. Well, that's great that you realize your own value, because a lot of guys will be like, well, what am I doing wrong? You're not doing anything wrong. That's just how that individual female operates right now in her life. That she probably has a lot of options. She's probably a little bit impulsive, and you're really not that important in her life. But if she wants to go partying or she's feeling lonely, she'll text you. And I call that cat pawing. She's just playing with you here and there. And some guys are like, what am I missing? It's like, you don't need to miss or figure out anything. Talk to someone else. She's not available. She's not interested in a relationship that doesn't involve her being first all the time. Because that kind of communication is just selfish. And sometimes, like I said, they're just at a weird point in their life where when you're in a real relationship, it should be a big part of your life. When you're ready to start a relationship, there should be room and space for that relationship. And a lot of people don't have room and space when they're starting a relationship, and that's when they'll leave you on red. Their job comes first, their kids come first, their family members come first, or they just want to be single, and you're an option. But if you're not getting valued the way you're valuing them, c'est la vie, BLOCK. All right, folks. Well, right there, when I remove her from my friends list, that's when she noticed and get angry. Well, that's dealing with a type of woman that's got a big ego. And individuals with egos, men and women, if they get cut off or they get in no contact, those are the ones that respond with, oh my God, because they feel like they're someone famous. And they can be triggered by that. And so some people will say, oh, while we're in no contact, should I post fake photos? Go ahead. If they're ego motivated and they have a big head, they'll be highly affected by that. But you'll just be re-entering a relationship with someone that's all about them. They don't want you back because they want you back. They want you back because they lost your attention. And for them, attention's so huge. And we got friends like this that are ego people. Unless you can admit, or you might have had a time in your life where you're more ego. And the ego is a part of every human being's life. It's always evolving. My ego was a lot bigger when I was younger. And your ego is big in different areas. And if a woman's highly good looking or has some assets or is voluptuous, she gets a lot of attention. And so if she's used to that, then it can be one of those things where she wants to prove it. Where are you going to eat? It's an Italian restaurant at a mall here. It's actually quite good. We have great restaurants where I live. Great restaurants. There's no Australian food here, though, if there's such a thing. What would be considered Australian food? Crocodile? Sausages? Oh yeah. Oh, you guys are big on the pies. In America, we called them pot pies, and they used to be like frozen, but you get meat pies. Yeah, just definitely meat pie. Just sounds gross as an American. But yeah, over here the pubs that are Aussie pubs, we have Aussie pubs. Literally, that's their name, and they're, mate, did you want to get a pie? To me, that's apple. Fish and chips, yeah, which is English also. I'm with you. I've definitely had a few good fish and chips at the Aussie pub. All right, folks, it's been good. It's been grand. I appreciate you all. Hilarious. Thanks for the close with that, Rye Flint. Hetty Betty, I'm glad I don't have to contact Berkeley Farms. Put you on that milk carton. Rob IS, you've been mighty quiet. I hope you're doing okay, bud. Guardian of the Gate. Odd Carlo, always a pleasure. Chaley, I look forward to your email. Pot and Parma, yeah, that's another one. Good one. Kangaroo sausage. How do we get on these topics sometimes? I'll tell you what. I'm alive. Thank you. I was worried about you. All right, folks. It's curtains.